Holiday Switch is a really good film. There is one scene or one moment that kind of made me laugh because it was really bad but also really good at the same time. And I might talk about that in a moment. But in general, I thought this was a pretty brilliant film. This was released in 2007. It's directed by Bert. It's written by Gayl Decoursey, and it stars Nicole Eggert as Paula. And Paula, well, she doesn't have the best life. She's not exactly happy with things. She's a mother. She obviously loves her children, but day to day things can be quite difficult. And then, well, a former partner is in town. He is very successful, very wealthy, and she begins to wonder what her life would have turned out like had she continued to date this person. And I love that as a concept. I think everybody can relate to that, of wondering, if I just made this decision, how different would my life be? And Paula doesn't have to wonder for too long, because somehow she finds herself in this alternate reality. And I want to say credit to the film for being creative with it. I'm not actually going to say what happens. Maybe that's an incentive to watch it, but that scene, when she transitions from her reality to this alternate reality, on the one hand is really corny and really terrible, but very funny, and it actually looks brilliant. I don't know why they came up with that as a concept, and I kind of understand what they were showing with it, because it was a really strong contrast with what she was doing in the reality side to the way things were handled and the people she immediately met on the other side. So I see what they were going for with, how overworked she was and things. But at the same time, it's still a very cheesy decision to make. But I enjoyed it. And after that, she gets to live out this life. And it's all about finding out whether that life would have been better or if the grass is always greener on the other side. And I rather enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good narrative. I love films where characters enter an alternate reality. I think I was about to say something and then I interrupted myself. Credit to the film for not just doing the classic character wakes up the following morning and they're in this reality. I don't have a problem with that, but it's pretty common where characters will wake up and suddenly everything's different. They went with something a little bit more creative here, which I have to respect. And Paula as a protagonist, I really liked. It was interesting to see the changes in her character and what this life would be like, and I really enjoyed following that journey. I thought she was an interesting character, very easy to get behind her emotionally, and I wanted the best for her. So if you like films about alternate realities, about wondering what things could have been like had they just made a different decision, this is a pretty good one to go with. I think it does a really great job with the narrative, and I rather enjoyed it a lot. Really likable protagonist. All of the characters are very well written. The performances are great. And it's festive-ish. It's maybe not the most festive film, but it's not too bad. And in general, I can say that I rather enjoyed it. Holiday Switch is a decent story, very well executed, great characters, great cast, and ultimately, it's one that I'm very happy to recommend. Actually, I will now, with a spoiler warning, tell you how she goes from one reality to the next. I just want to take a second to talk about it, because I feel like it's such a bad idea because it's really corny, but it also really works. And at the end of the day, I'm not criticizing it. I thought it was effective, but it did just kind of make me think, okay, that was not what I expected. So this is a spoiler for how she transitions to the world, but I'm not going to spoil what happens in that alternate reality. So this happens when she's doing laundry. She's obviously overworked, overtired, and there's this light coming from the laundry machine, and she goes through it. And the next thing we see is her crawling out of a washing machine, and she's immediately greeted by a housekeeper, somebody there to do the housework for her, so she's not overworked and overtired. And obviously the transition works really, really well, and it definitely shows this stark contrast immediately of the two realities. I think it's just the image of her climbing out of this washing machine. It's not something I ever thought I'd see, and it's a bit ridiculous, but it's memorable, and it's definitely a lot more creative than just waking up in bed the following morning. So it amused me. Do I think it was a good idea? Sure, why not? It's fun, it's different, it's kind of cheesy, but yeah, I liked it. And if anybody were to look at that though and say, that was a really stupid idea. Why would it be the washing machine? I can understand the argument. Why not just go back to basics and have her wake up in the morning? But this is more memorable. Definitely is an image that will stick with me of a fully grown woman crawling out of a washing machine. It's good. It's not a bad moment. There are pros and cons. And in general, Holiday Switch is a really good film.